Every time I watch LaMelo ball in the NBA, I think about that shot.
They need a three ball. LaMelo! Running through his veins. 18 years of age. The three heard around the world.
I think about the dude in the crowd who lost his biscuits and flung his hat in the air. About that 30-point triple-double. And about Hornets GM Mitch Kupchak sitting courtside realizing, if this kid's still there at pick 3, I'm drafting him. LaMelo, of course, is the most famous guy to make the NBA via the NBL. But he's not the only one. In fact, he's one of 38 to have done that over the years. Some, like Joe Ingles, took extra stops, but every one of these dudes played in the NBL before becoming an NBA guy. That number's going to tip over 40 soon too when these guys make their NBA debuts. All of which begs the question, after those guys, who's going to join that club next? Before we look forward, let's go back to the first guy to ever make that leap. Nope, it wasn't Shane Heal.
Oh, Shane! Come back, Shane! Up, makes out the heel. He threw it down! Are you healed? Are you healed?
Praise the Lord, I'm healed.
It wasn't Andrew Gaze.
Andrew Gaze hits his first NBA shot. It's a two-pointer.
It wasn't even Doug Overton.
Iverson, who thought better of passing to Stackhouse. Overton off the glass.
It was actually a guy most of us have never heard of. Ronnie Cavanaugh.
Ronnie Cavanaugh from the free throw line, 2 points. Sydney lead 12-8. Ronnie Cavanaugh at 7 foot, remarkable shooting ability.
A 7'1" lefty center with a funky jump shot. Cavanaugh played for the Sydney Supersonics in 1983, finishing second in the league for block shots. Here's the crazy part. At the end of that season, the Sonics cut Cavanaugh loose, and then the next thing you know, he's a New York Knick. Hubie Brown's calling him a diamond in the rough, and even rolling him out for a couple of starts. So from the first guy to make the leap, others started to follow, like Doug Overton, who balled out for Illawarra before carving out a 10-year NBA career.
So smooth. He goes down. Overton for two. Bingo.
Gazy.
Sent the pick, a long three-point shot from Andrew Gaze.
Anstey.
Baseline fade. Look out. Chris Anstey with the winning jumper from the baseline.
And you know Jalen Brunson, right? You heard about his 4-year, $100 million contract with the Knicks? Well, his old man's in this club. Rick Brunson put up 20 a game for Adelaide in 1996 before spending time with 9 different NBA teams. Then of course, there's Stephen Jackson. Jackson was a teenage import in Sydney before he won a title in Texas, wanted all the smoke in the palace, and played 14 years in the league.
Jackson from straight away for 3.
There's been draft and stash success stories.
That young man has come to play tonight. Jordan McRae with 30. Look out below! James Ennis!
And all kinds of Aussies making their way through.
With a steal to Landon and the dunk. Ingles delivers.
Then of course, there are those undrafted grinders who just never gave up on the dream.
Oh my goodness! Crossing over. Oh my goodness! Liam is out of his chair.
Oh my!
In recent years, through the Next Stars program, the league's become a destination for youngsters who want to make that leap. When LaMelo brought his game down under, he was a projected second rounder. When he left, well, you know how that's going.
LaMelo has eaten on it. Darts through. At the rim.
How about Josh Giddey? The talented teen took the NBL by storm 2 years ago and is now the youngest player in NBA history to record a triple-double. Listen to Giddey's insights here when asked whether his time in Adelaide helped prepare him for the next level.
17 years old, I got to Adelaide and I'm playing against ex-NBA guys, NBL veterans, and I think that really, fast-tracked my development. I think that was one of the main deciding factors in staying here, was that I get to play against the level of talent that we have in the NBL, get to compete against it at practice every day. So I think playing against older guys, grown men, was going to really help me, going forward, and that's why I decided to stay.
Which brings us to the here and now. A couple of weeks ago, the NBL published some way too early predictions for the upcoming season. It was all like, who's going to win the title? Who's going to be MVP? How many of these can Liam stuff up? But the most interesting question for me was this one. Who will be the next NBL player to make the NBA? The first thing that stood out was that nobody, including me, picked Aaron Baines. I mean, if Baines was to get picked back up after this season, he would clearly be the next NBL guy to make it. Of course, he would fit into a separate category, alongside Paddy, Bogues, and maybe Daly, of blokes who have played in the NBL before returning to the NBA. From the 10 people who were polled, here were the results. There was 1 vote each for Luke Travers, Craig Randall II, Kai Soto, and Rayan Rupert. Ariel Hook-Porty received 2 votes, and the guy most picked to be the next NBL player to make the NBA? Xavier Cooks, with 40% of the vote going to last season's Grand Final MVP. This is interesting, because Cooks is at a pivotal point in his career. He's certainly good enough, but at 27, time is starting to become a factor. This offseason, Cooks decided not to play in the NBA Summer League, which he described as glorified pickup, and instead opted to completely dominate the NZNBL. I get it, he's already played in Vegas twice, and his game is suited more to a team-oriented style. But man, as Jack White showed in Sin City this year, that's a place that can make dreams come true. The big thing for Cooks this year is to prove he can shoot it. He's going to have a massive season. Heck, I think he'll be league MVP. But at 6'8", NBA execs need to see that he can knock that thing down. Hook-Porty makes sense, as he's a strong chance to get drafted, while the Cleveland Cavaliers currently hold the rights to Travers. Of course, the Knicks still hold the rights to Brad Newley, so yeah. Oh, and the Atlanta Hawks still hold the rights to this guy. No, not him, the other guy. Augusto Benelli. They drafted him back in 1986, and he's about to turn 58. Kai Soto? I'd like to see him at the Summer League next year. While Soto's Adelaide teammate Craig Randall was a scoring machine in the G League last season. Man, it is hard to make the NBA when your number one skill is shooting Jimmy.
Randall steps in for a deep 3 with 0.5 of a second left. Craig Randall.
For me, the most likely guy to next make the leap from the NBL to the NBA is French next star Rayan Rupert.
Will he get the shot off? Yes, he will. Will it go? Yes, it will. And another steal, Rupert, and he's off to the races. Rayan Rupert slides his way to the basket.
Last month, ESPN's Jonathan Givony ranked Rupert as the second best prospect at the Under-18 Euros. While noting that his scoring production was inconsistent, Givony described Rupert's defensive potential as incredible. He's nearly 6'8", still growing, and has a massive 7'3" wingspan. He's also just got impressive defensive instincts, which Givony wrote makes it tough to dribble the ball anywhere in his vicinity. Oh, and check out these comments from Modi Mayor, Rupert's new coach at the New Zealand Breakers.
What Rayan is at the moment is the purest version of a hooper. This kid is like from 1985. Like, there is no confusion about him. He doesn't care about anything except basketball. He doesn't like the idea of being a basketball player. He likes playing basketball. His work ethic is off the chart insanity.
Okay, so Rupert is currently ranked as a mid-first rounder for next year's draft, but I wouldn't be surprised if his stock rises even further. Just like LaMelo's did in 2020, Giddey's did in 2021, and Ousmane Dieng's did last season, resulting in 3 straight years of next stars being drafted in the lottery. Ever since Ronnie Cavanaugh back in the 80s, the pathway from the NBL to the NBA has been a road well travelled. And right now, it's busier than ever.